Virginia, Mr. McKinley, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just build a little bit on some of the remarks that have been made earlier about some of the credentials of several. Peter Welch and I have had a wonderful working relationship. We chair the Efficiency Caucus. We put language into the current energy bill that we're waiting to see what's going to happen in the Senate. We've been to the White House for signatures on an energy efficiency bill. So this is something I think he and I really grasp fairly well with this. Back when I was in private practice engineering, we designed some of the first LEED certified schools and office buildings in West Virginia. I'm working with Tonka over an energy efficiency with the turbines to create electricity to make that more efficient. So energy efficiency is one of the prime areas that I like to play with and get involved in here. But I get to a point, there's a vast differences, and I want to play back a little bit on what my colleague and good friend, Bobby Rush from Illinois, was talking about, was the disparity of income when people were facing this. If you look at this, it poses a challenge for all of us. It really does for us. If you look at Mississippi, my colleague here from Harper, from Mississippi, their median family income is $36,000 a year. In Mississippi, $36,000 a year. But in Maryland, it's over $70,000 per family income. But so in those affluent states or neighborhoods, they make choices. They have choices. You'll probably, if we went through the motor vehicle licensing, we find they probably have more BMWs and Lexus cars there than we have in some other areas of the country or in neighborhoods. So cars are going to be different because people have choices. We have housing, that there are different pricing for housing because people have choices for that. We have health care. When you go to the exchanges under Obamacare, there are different exchanges you get, so people have choices. But when it comes to their major consumer appliance, they don't. For your air conditioning, your refrigerator, your range, your dishwasher, your furnace, all of these have been mandated that this is the only one that they have available to them. I'm troubled with that because of the diversity of income, their capability of doing it. And don't tell me it's going to save me $500 a year, because we understand the whole payback is so much longer on all the. So I'm wondering, is there a suggestion you all could make that might make it more palatable for people to be able to have a choice so that they're not confronted with this hard decision? I know of families that are trying to fix anything they can, their equipment as much as they make it last as long as possible, because they know that they can't afford the cost of the new one, and so they're spending a lot of money in repairs because they don't have a choice. They know what the cost is. That air conditioning costs the same in Connecticut as it does in Mississippi, or that dishwasher. So what would you suggest that we in Congress could do to maybe ameliorate some of these differences a little bit so that the poor communities, the area or states that have trouble, how can they afford to have this cost? Can some of you, okay. Mr.
Congressman, I think this is, a really important issue. And I think it's bringing back the balance that was originally put out in the 40-year-old law, where it says technically feasible and economically justified. Right now, the focus is too much on the technical feasibility and saying, hey, my manufacturers manufacture products everywhere from the federal minimum to very high efficiency. Yes, we could go to the high efficiency, but we need to look at the cost. And I think it's bringing that balance back to that economic justification and saying this law is intended to raise that floor slowly. People that have the incomes in Maryland and other places are going to purchase the things with all the different bells and whistles on their refrigerators, their dishwashers, their air conditioners, and everything else. But there's a lot of people in this country, when you look at the cost now of the minimum efficient air conditioner, you're looking at $6,000 to $10,000 at a minimum that is done in an unplanned time, because most of the time these units go out when it's the hottest day of the year, or the furnace when it's the coldest day of the year. And the Federal Reserve just had a study last week that said over 47% of the American people have less than $400 in emergency cash available to them. So what are they going to do? they need that comfort. You know, in the wintertime, they need the heat. A lot of times, for medical reasons, they need that the cooling in the summer. And so it's bringing back that balance, you know, and probably putting more of an emphasis on the economic justification versus the technical.
My time's expired, but all I can ask, could each of the six of you, would you mind putting a little paper to me or something to say what you would suggest that might be a solution to help out for families in depressed areas? Thank you very much. I yield back.
Gentleman's time